group of Mamaroneck High School students who were privileged enough to go to Russia over February break. There's a little bit of a tape that we want to show you of them going off at the airport. I don't think they came back the same way that they left. Did you, kids? I
No.
mean,
No.
a little bit, a little different. Now, I know Mark Reck didn't come back the same way because this was his first trip ever, right?
Oh, yeah. Virgin flyer, virgin flyer.
And here we are as parents questioning Don Phillips. Are they going to be safe? Are they going to be safe? You promise? And what'd you say, Don?
Of course, never fret with Don on any trips.
Oh, God. Globetrotter.
And away they
How
go.
long a flight was it?
8 hours.
For about 8 hours.
Eternity.
With a stop in Helsinki for about 45 minutes.
Food was good.
Food was good on the plane?
Yes. On the way home, movie was sad. Sad on the way home.
Not too tearful of a farewell. As I recall, the parents were told to leave immediately.
By whom?
By the students, they said, go.
How many students and how many adults?
18 students and 3 adults.
Oh, yeah, well.
Yeah.
Marianne was a good one.
Oh, Mother's making a little wave. Off they go. Look at that backpack.
Gave me my kidney stone.
That's what gave you your bad bags. Well, we've seen a little bit of you guys getting ready to go. And I'd just like to start with you, Don, so that you can kind of introduce people and let them say their names, and then we'll find out if a bunch of us parents were fairly nervous about this, if it was worth it, if they enjoyed it, if they were uptight, if they should have been nervous, all kinds of things. So,
Well, I'm sure they're going to tell you all the things you want to know. On my left is David Levin. On his left is Aaron Levy, Andy Shanzer, Alex Zimmerman, Jesse Blockton, Cynthia DeFelice, Mark Reck, and Lily Golberg.
and this is a smattering of the group you took.
This is 8 of the 18 students.
Wow.
It's a good cross-section of both participators and more quiet folk.
Okay, great. Now, somebody jump right in here. Are you glad you went? Were you scared? Should you have been frightened?
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
scary at all. It was safer than New York. There was no real crime problems at all or anything.
David, though, when you got off the, I mean, what about the black market? Was that apparent?
There's physical encounters with the black market.
Yeah, like it's like when you get off the bus, like they accost you. You know, they just
Not a cost. Well,
It was basically
They'd run at you. They could
Board
tell that we were
house.
Americans. They would run at us with like the hats and everything,
Yeah,
saying,
like
buy
they-
this,
they
buy
want-
this.
they want
military
dollars
watch.
pretty bad.
Military.
And they wanted you to
Dollars.
buy. They wanted dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
we didn't-
trade.
I didn't change any American dollars to rubles the whole time I was there. I just spent dollars.
And they were glad to have them.
Yeah.
Very glad to have them.
Okay. Now, did you really get to know the students? Did you have, now I understand you had an exchange with a school at some point.
Not really an exchange. We just
Okay.
visited for the morning, afternoon,
And the night.
and the night.
When they came back.
One night, yeah. We came back to the hotel and talked with them.
And how, did you get to really get a sense of what their lives were like? What,
Personally, no, but I don't know.
There's a lot like that. They had Blockbuster cards. I was pretty impressed by that.
Well, these students have been to Houston, Texas.
A bunch of them.
They spoke English.
I don't even know.
They were fairly knowledgeable about American life, so that it wasn't that they had previous contacts with Americans. So it was fairly easy to talk with them and their teachers about our school, their life, their school, our life.
well, did anybody talk about how the changes had impacted on their lives? The government.
Well, I spoke to one girl, and she just said she really wanted to get out of Russia. She didn't like it at all, and she was hoping, you know, when she gets older, she could make enough money to fly to the States.
At the same time, though, I spoke to a guy who told me that that at the moment right now it wasn't as good, but now they had incentive and they were excited that it could get better, and that now they felt that, you know, instead of just being thrust into some sort of place in society, that they could like really make it for themselves. And, you know.
The newness being the sense of freedom. There was
Yeah, and that now they could, you know, ameliorate their own conditions, like due to their own work.
Huh. did you get a feeling now? I know a couple of you, they came back to the hotel and watched the Olympics with you. The Russians were playing.
Oh, yeah.
The hockey game. Did you get a sense, was there a patriotism?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like,
They're pretty happy.
when they beat us,
They was
right?
fighting a couple
Yeah.
of years.
Even though it was unified,
arm
and look,
wrestled.
you got a new flag here. I don't know if you all saw this. This is the new Russian flag for our Mamaroneck Larchmont audience. Red, white, and blue, we should note. David Levin was kind enough to bring the old one, I guess. Is this it?
The old
Hang it up
Russian,
a sec.
it's the Russian Republic flag, the old Russian Republic flag.
Have it upside down though, David.
And this is the new one, which is so fascinating that it's red, white, and blue. But
Frank
those
Flag.
kids were very into the unified team winning, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
watching the Giants, they were.
Well, maybe it's because they were beating us, what we saw, they were beating us. But I think there's a certain wistfulness about the breakup of the Soviet Union, especially with the Olympic team and the Olympic Committee. But beating the Americans was exciting. I think beating us in anything is exciting for them.
right. Now, I know that there was some trouble. These kids don't just to go into hotels like we go into hotels.
No.
Lily was telling me they had to have a passport.
Yeah, they
That's
don't
right.
have pass- many of them don't have passports,
through a
so they don't go
process.
anywhere.
So they couldn't just freely walk in, even now with this new freedom.
They couldn't wait in the lobby.
And when they were
They
allowed,
couldn't wait in the lobby?
They were stopped, they had to
Foreigners are
wait
not
outside.
allowed, the hotels for foreigners, the Russians are excluded from these hotels unless there is a reason for them to be there.
But you guys were able to get them up to watch the game.
Yeah.
They all had to have their names signed down, they all had to write down their names and
They almost
their
got in
addresses
trouble
and
one
stuff.
time.
Isn't that just because they're not
They want them trained.
using the hotel? That's why. I mean, they don't want anybody who's not.
Security, isn't it?
I think they don't want
I mean,
them
that's-
to
you can't
see
go to
what,
the plaza
the good
and go in
life
and
is
walk
like
around.
there.
No, but
But
still, you're not allowed to go
It'll be that
out
much
there.
more.
But you can eat dinner at the plaza.
You can go to the plaza and walk around, Mark.
I never tried.
Donald Trump will be very upset with you for saying. But now tell me, that's kind of a phenomenon, but what about the sites? I know, what'd you think was, I know Lenin's tomb, can you, what was,
We went to, yeah, it is. We went to Red
St.
Square. Our first night we went to Red Square, and we went there the following day, and it was really pretty. It was snowing when we went the first time, I think. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, that night.
really nice. And then, so we went there the next day, and we saw Lenin's body. They preserved it. And it's amazing.
How long did you have to wait?
There are no lines.
There's no
line.
No one likes
No one wants
Lenin.
It took longer to get to McDonald's.
It did. You were getting-
let's talk about McDonald's. Let's talk about food. Were
But you
you-
said Big Macs.
what's the story? How much did it cost?
It's like,
Nothing.
3
Yeah.
cheeseburgers, a milkshake, a
And
fry, and an
fries.
apple pie for $1.03.
And
I lived there.
What did it taste like?
It's
It was
good.
good. It was
Perfect.
It was
same
just
exact
like-
except less greasy.
Yeah.
And the store is immaculate. Like all they do is like clean their
Three
stuff.
floors.
Lettuce was fresh.
1,600, like.
It's so big.
highly
You wouldn't
recommended.
believe how many
There are like
employees there
pictures
are.
of the beaches in Miami.
Oh, no. Now, why are there no lines? We heard there were lines around the block for McDonald's.
Well, I mean,
There were so many
I think we were
people that
There
just-
work
are
there.
1,200 like employees at the McDonald's.
yeah, there's so many people working there.
And they had they just have a group of people just waiting for like a free person at the line. There aren't really lines. They just like hold up their hand and you go up to them and give them your order.
No, but outside, I think we were
Outside.
lucky because outside there are bars,
Yeah.
the lines are all the way down the block.
I think it's just too expensive for them.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
they might
That's
seem
way too
cheap for us,
expensive.
but like for them, like
Exactly
we read
right.
we read an article. Don gave us an article that was cut out of the newspaper that said what they can get at McDonald's, they can get at a cafe for a quarter of the price. So
Yeah.
why
Yeah, that's
they
what the
can't- they
people
don't
we
have
talked to
the-
said. That it's just too expensive.
Yeah.
for them.
Huh.
I mean, the clientele was either foreigners or black market types with their girlfriends. I mean, it was, the average Russian, we went at night, was not there, because it is very expensive. For 100 rubles for what Andy just mentioned, and if a person makes 900 rubles a month, that's a heck of a lot of money for one meal.
It's exactly. Were people, did you see evidence of people having to wait in lines and starving? And
We had 2 Russian guides with us at the beginning in Moscow, and one time some of us were talking to them, we asked them, do you have to wait on lines for food and stuff, and she said that there were certain things that were rationed,
Vodka.
like vodka
Yeah,
Meat.
and meat were
Meat and
rationed,
vodka.
but other than that, she said for basic food, she didn't really have to wait online that much.
Yeah, I saw one line that went around an entire block, not just along the block, but around an entire block, and that was for
At
vodka.
some markets.
But now, what did you kids eat? Did you
We
have
had
Hotel food.
hotel food.
hotel food, and how
It was
that?
Russian, like
It
hotel
was
food, it was
really
horrible.
small portions of really bad food.
If they had meat, like none of the fat, it was all like you put it in, it was bad.
That was the best food in
Some
Russia,
of it was-
though, I think. I don't know.
These are very picky eaters. They tried very hard to feed us with soups and fruits.
Soups were good.
and
Soup
meat.
was
Soup was
The
really good.
fish was disgusting.
The fish was
bread
all right.
It's a
not-
matter of, it's a
I like
matter of.
your
food.
Yeah, it's your
Lox, we were eating lox for, I mean, I love.
Lox?
Yeah, they gave us lox.
You're the only one who ate it.
We had
The only
I had-
person
lox and bacon, just no cream cheese, would've been perfect. Caviar, you guys would.
You didn't have
appreciate
borscht.
that.
Yes, we did.
We had once, we had
Once. I
Once.
didn't.
We had some good chicken soup and bread, they had
Yeah.
the white bread.
Mushrooms.
Soup and bread.
The bread.
Well, if you
we
had
lots of
lox and
bread.
bagel and chicken soup, maybe some Jewish people still have remained in Russia's house. Let me ask you this.
We had a lot of caviar.
Yeah?
Yeah, Mark and I were happy about that.
Caviar.
Pretzels, pretzels, and
That was a big
caviar.
Pretzels and caviar.
Dip it in.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Did you guys,
No, that was in a room.
did you guys prepare enough for this in terms of what you read? Now, I know that there was some grumbling in our house of reading Crime and Punishment. It was quite large, but I understand it paid off. Comment to
I didn't read.
you didn't read?
No, I'm not in Russian
Okay,
history.
but did you do any preparation? Should you have done any preparation?
Well, he did more preparation.
It could have been
than us. He could
interesting.
speak the language.
A little bit.
Russian.
Was there something that would have been helpful for you to have known before you went?
No, I mean, we visited Dostoevsky's flat, things like that. I mean, it would have been interesting, I guess, but it was interesting enough
It was.
without having read the book.
I wish I could speak the language. I think I would have gotten so much more out of the
Yeah.
trip. Just because it's really frustrating trying to talk to some people who don't speak much English.
And did you get a feeling that maybe the guide wasn't interpreting the way you would have?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, not,
The guy spoke
I
too
basically
much.
Yeah, well,
understood.
Don
I really
basically
did.
knows, Don showed us around, he knew like the things that we'd be interested in, so, we didn't really listen to the guys that much, he knew everything.
Well, the matter, over
Overrode
the years,
it.
you hand out lots of reading material for kids to read.
No one reads.
And you find out that people don't necessarily do the reading prior to these trips because they have so much schoolwork. And isn't that true for most tourists? They really don't always know what they're seeing, and they finally get wise after the trip is over and read about what they did see. But in any case, I mean, things were pointed out to them while they were there, and if anybody wanted to know more, they certainly could have.
But I know that Billy was you were pretty excited about walking along the same river that from Crime and Punishment. I mean, that was kind of amazing that the descriptive portion of Dostoevsky's stuff that was kind of coming to life, right? I mean,
So that's Sonia's apartment.
Sonia's, that's,
But these are all fiction. This is a fictional book based
Yeah,
on
but
a
that's
few
when you-
streets, and the idea of seeing it, I guess, is fun.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I regretted that I hadn't,
the-
I'm not in the class, so I hadn't read Crime and Punishment or the Chekhov books or any of the other things you guys had read. And I was disappointed, like I wish
It
I
wasn't
had read that
fulfilling.
stuff.
I didn't- So I really missed that.
I mean, it was neat to like see Tolstoy's grave and then say like, okay, I read what he wrote.
But then again, now if you read the stuff after seeing it, then it
And
just...
it makes an impression.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But, so, people who are going next year, because I really kind of want to gear this towards, would you suggest that they do those kinds of, I mean, it was,
Oh, yeah, I didn't regret any part of the trip, really. I think
Okay.
everything was like worthwhile.
What was the highlight, or the,
I thought Red Square, I liked just being in Red Square. We went, I guess, 2 or 3 times.
is that the same for everyone?
St. Pancras Cathedral.
Same as-
Right over-
St. Basil's.
Yeah, like even when you see it on the news, it's nothing. It's just such an amazing structure.
I like the
when you see it.
Hermitage. The Hermitage.
Yeah.
was,
yeah.
And the armory is really impressive. We went to the armory, and there it's like where all the jewels are in it, and like all the riches, and it just blew like England's crown jewels away.
Fabergé eggs were gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now, did you get a feeling, somebody had mentioned that it was, seeing Russia itself, Leningrad, Moscow was very dirty.
No, just
No?
it was just the pollution.
The air was really dirty.
The sky was brown. It's up there.
So there's heavy air pollution.
Okay.
They're burning brown coal for heat.
And there's lead
So
and
there-
fuel.
Yeah, it
So
smells
it
like
is
lead.
polluted, but when they're talking about dirty, New York is dirty.
Right, there's
I
no
mean,
garbage,
there's
there's no
no-
garbage.
I mean,
Things
there's
like,
garbage on the
things
streets.
like the metro, where the
Oh, yeah.
cleanest, most
Yeah.
beautiful thing I've ever seen. I mean,
Just
if you
the
go to
air.
the subway in New York, you're like, but the metro, you could like eat off the floor.
There's no graffiti and it's not dirty.
The escalators are fun, too.
What,
Escalator,
Yeah.
that's miles.
So
Escalators.
deep.
what was different than you thought? Well, a preconception, you might have, somebody had mentioned that there were a lot of military men all over. Was that something that
Almost
shocked
every
you?
Sunday,
Yeah.
Huh?
They're trying to sell their belts and stuff.
Let's talk about the
It
trading.
wasn't their actual.
The trading. Did you find a lot of people coming up to you wanting to trade? And did you guys have the right stuff? What should you have brought?
We brought
Yeah, I didn't bring anything. I wish I brought
T-shirts.
something.
T-shirts.
Cigarettes and chewing gum.
Marble.
Wait, not
No, not
cigarettes.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, a
is
lot of
that?
people wanted cigarettes.
They all,
Cigarettes,
they asked,
chewing
they
gum.
tried to sell me cigarettes.
Yeah.
That
wanted-
T-shirts or
Do they allow
T-shirts.
that?
Someone
Or
gave
do
me-
they
offered me
frown
a
on that?
cigarette.
I mean, is that considered black market?
Not anymore.
Not
Well,
black market, it's just
they,
not
they
available.
scattered when the police would come,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it
they said
wasn't.
legal, but.
It was like the New York black
Yeah,
market.
yeah,
It's
like when
like
the guys are selling the watches.
No
you know,
big
like,
deal.
In the city, you know, they get
Yeah.
in trouble because they don't have a permit.
I think
worse in
jeans was
Russia.
the easiest to get rid of, that they really.
What?
Jeans and nice T-shirts.
What about CDs or
They don't
tapes?
have
CDs.
They don't have CD
I got rid of
players.
some Billy Joel tapes.
They,
Recently.
they wanted Billy Joel tapes.
Well, no, I don't know.
It was
Yeah,
interesting
really.
though. Now they're like much more picky because my sister went like 4 years ago, and she got rid of garbage. You know? Like, she just said, and with us, they're like looking at, they're like, this isn't that clean, and you know,
Yeah.
this is a little
Oh,
wrinkled.
yes, you mentioned that. They didn't like the spots, right?
No, it was interesting. You know, and they didn't like a lot of T-shirts. And, you know,
And no
My
holes in the
sis-
jeans.
Yeah,
They weren't
we don't
worth
want holes in
anything.
the
Well, some of the guys are kind of classy.
Oh,
You
right.
gotta look out for them.
You mean
You
the
just think
trendy
that's
holes
fun.
in the jeans
Yeah.
were not trendy
They
over
don't go
there?
there.
I don't blame them. You know, it's
Neither was-
cold. They want
Holes in my
Deodorant soap, either, they don't.
What? What?
Soaps, all the soap they.
Not heavily deodorant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
destination.
and then toothpaste. They don't have much toothpaste.
Yeah, I sold a guy a bar of soap for 50 rubles. He wanted it. I had
I
his
like there's a
backpack
tip
and he's
for
like,
the
oh,
name.
I'll take that.
That was nice of you.
yeah, really.
No,
Yeah, thanks.
Alex, you sold it? You didn't give
No, I left
did
it for
you
them.
No, he offered me. He goes, here's 50 rubles for a bar. So I said, okay.
Well, did you find yourself giving
Didn't
them
wash it.
things?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did
Well,
you?
the students we made, like one night they came and like we felt like we were like God. They like brought all these presents for us, like chocolate and like all these things.
Pins.
So we went upstairs and got them
Spoons.
things.
Spoon. I didn't have
Ladles, the ladles.
I had pens. I just want to bring pens. Like, they give me like these great things. I'm like, here's a pen.
Oh. Now, somebody or a couple of you got into a Russian home. Alex and, what's he looking around for? Tell me,
Broke in?
when you visited, we'd really like to get a
Visa
sense.
card right in the second
Okay.
door.
Now, tell me what, if we wanted to get a sense of how they lived, what were the appliances like? Did they sleep together in a room? I mean, we think here that they are really
They
drab and in
small apartment.
Yeah, it wasn't, you know, all that nice, but it was, you know, it was a quaint little apartment. We saw a child who was our age, his bedroom, and it
Yeah, real
was, you know,
small.
it was like a closet. But I mean,
Did they have a television? Did they have?
they had
Yeah,
one television.
One.
What about the kitchen? I mean, was
Small little
was
kitchen.
really small.
Really
Like
small.
they didn't have a dining room, you know. They just ate in the kitchen, which was like a little table like this, basically, and they just put all these chairs around.
Didn't they serve you like a meal?
Yeah, they made us dinner. They made us blinis and
Yeah, they made us
sour
this,
cream.
this Russian national food. They said, which is it's kind of like a crepe, like a pancake.
Put sour cream in the middle.
It was
No
definitely the
yogurt.
best thing I ate in Russia.
It was really good.
how did this make you feel? Did you feel like you were
Felt
very
great.
okay? But
It was
did you feel
good.
very lucky to be an American? I mean, did you kind of get a sense of really a tough life?
It was tough, but it wasn't.
They seemed happy.
Yeah,
they were definitely, you know, content.
Like happy.
It's kind of like they
content.
just value
Content.
different things than we value. You know, like they're into different things. Like so, it's not necessarily that they're lacking in like the materialistic things. They don't value them as much as Americans do. So like they don't need to have 6 televisions and 4 bathrooms and things like that. Like they're satisfied with one
Not
television.
spoiled, I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
I think I felt a really strong sense of being happy to be in America when I came home, which I haven't felt as much when I went to other countries, just because just the fact, you know, just having to have a passport to go into certain places, or the guide was telling me about how like it's really hard to get an apartment and people live with their parents like until their parents die, and that kind of thing. I just thought I felt really fortunate that wouldn't be, those restrictions wouldn't be in my life.
Yeah. Now I know you guys took a train versus a plane, because we were very uptight as parents about you flying on the planes because we heard there were parts missing and stuff.
From Moscow to St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
Right.
What was that like?
Train was
It's really great.
It's fun.
Great. It worked out perfectly because it was 18 to a car, and there were just 18 kids. So
Oh my
the
God,
adults
what a
were on
car.
The adults were on a different
Yeah,
car.
so all the kids
Look at all the
Smart
Don
person.
T.
They were in a car with heat and
A lot of
light.
heat.
Too much
And they had sun. I was in a car,
Dehydrated.
freezing. I had all my clothes on, 2 blankets, a hat. It was
We were
deadly.
deadly.
It was really
shorts.
hot.
We were really unhappy about that.
And the
We woke
conductor
up
scammed on
dying.
me. Like,
I didn't
But,
notice
I didn't
but
wait.
now, did you get to see the countryside? Did you get to see?
Well, it was nighttime.
Well, I walked to the end of the train, the way back, and it was really cool because you could see the track, going off in the distance in the snow and the pine trees. And there was one point when we were sitting in your room, we pulled up the blind or whatever, and we saw outside all pine trees, and it looked like, ripped off,
Off the wall.
and you could see it was really, really beautiful. Even though it was night, you could still see it. It was really,
Yeah, we passed by the forest.
Yeah, it was a
one
full
way.
moon.
We were all
Yeah,
sitting in the
beautiful forest. Like,
All right, so that was a good experience.
Yeah.
You would recommend that to Don
Oh,
for
yeah.
the future?
yeah.
Yeah,
Train-
train
train.
ride was definitely
I
fun.
don't know if Don would
Right.
recommend that.
No, I mean, if students are happy, it was
That's
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Train
Train
was
was
absolutely.
Great.
Just when we got to St.
All these
Petersburg, we were
little
so
rooms with
tired.
beds in them.
Well, of course, then the next day is
Such
shot.
a-
That's the reason I have against taking the trip.
All right, now, if I told you that you were going back tomorrow, what would you take, or what would you do? Would you take more money, less money? What would you?
You should ask.
Would you go?
Would you go? Would you
Yeah.
go?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
You would definitely go, okay. You think the whole group would have, was that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah.
I think so.
And what would you do differently that you,
Bring
What-
more peanut butter.
Yeah,
I bring more
American food.
like cheese.
Easy
All right,
cheese,
fine.
yeah.
I bring warmer socks.
Freeze dry
warmer
like.
socks?
Warmer socks, my
It
favorite
was
cold.
so, the weather was totally not a problem.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, it wasn't
I was
cold.
freezing.
It was like New York. I mean,
I froze.
I thought it was gonna be a
You
lot
brought
colder,
normal
but
clothes.
it
We all
was
brought
so
like
cold.
ski
Yeah, I brought like,
I know, I
like
guess.
warmer
looked
packets.
foolish.
Yeah, I really had
Hand
to
warmers.
think.
it really wasn't that cold.
yeah. Well, okay.
I was expecting like
So much where they're like gator, they're like not gator.
I wore, yeah.
Not a gator.
I saw gators in every picture.
Mask
I
you
had a
wear.
full face.
Ski mask, you wore ski mask?
No, I
No,
just had a gator like in that.
So you'd go back, you'd take about the same stuff. What about trading stuff? Would you bring anything different?
Yeah,
I'd bring more
I'd bring
T-shirts.
something.
more t-shirts.
Well, there wasn't really that
Take
much to
pictures.
get.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I got my Yeltsin doll.
Oh, yeah, the Yeltsin doll's great. You see that? Yeah,
You can open a store now.
yeah, yeah. And
Right,
we've got the
that-
flags. And
My
somebody
machine.
has on here's the watch of choice. Is this correct?
Military watch.
A military watch?
Pair of jeans for
Yeah, I've got one that runs
Pair of
backwards.
jeans. Who's this on the side here?
Gagarin,
I
astronaut.
don't know. Yeah, Yuri Gagarin? I don't know. Does it work?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, Don, mine still working, it runs backwards.
Mine broke.
Oh,
This
it's
runs
backwards.
Yeah,
backwards.
mine runs backwards.
It's perestroika, though.
Yeah, it says, it's a joke on the perestroika, because perestroika is supposed to be taking the country forward. Yet this watch saying perestroika is running backwards. And we did meet people who, the lady Galina, she didn't like perestroika.
Yeah,
She
she
thought it
hated
was
it.
putting the rich
A lot of
people
people thought it was
higher
stupid.
up, and it was, yeah, a lot of people didn't
A
like,
lot of people didn't like. So what is your
they didn't like
feeling?
Yeltsin, they didn't like Gorby, they didn't like anybody.
Yeah,
Well,
they
right
don't
now,
like
they
too
don't,
much.
a lot of people don't have food of it.
Well, it
Yeah.
depends which class you're in. I mean,
Yeah.
it depends. If you are a former communist, if you speak a foreign language, if you are young and aggressive and you feel that there's a possibility of making money through a joint venture, you are very positive about the changes. If you're somebody on a fixed income who enjoyed a certain lifestyle in the old ways, you're very unhappy about this change. So it just depends. If you're certainly retired and on a fixed income, it's a disaster since prices have escalated and wages or retirement income is still fixed. So
Are you
there-
thinking that there could be a change back in the future?
Well, no, nobody ever would want to go back to Marxist-Leninist days, but the next change would be the military, sort of like Chile, like the Pinochet government. There'd be a military coup there.
So that's why there's so many, I mean, you see all these military people around.
I think it's because once you're 18, you go into the army.
You have the military headquarters are there and things like that. A lot of these people, the uniforms, you can't tell if they're police, if they're security people, if they're military people. There are not a lot of military. You don't see military people on the sidewalks or anything like that, guarding you.
So,
Do the kids your age, do they have to do national service, military or other?
Everyone when they're 18.
Isn't that stuff?
In most countries, you have to
Well,
do
if
that.
you're-
Yeah, they said that, they don't have it, it's a choice.
Unless you go to college, yeah.
If you go to college, you don't have to.
Yeah, if you go to college, and a lot of them were going.
There are
the
exceptions
kids we
to
were.
it. There are exceptions. And the new change now is you don't have to serve outside of your republic, which has always been a big issue. Latvians don't have to serve in Russia anymore, or Ukrainians and Russians are rivals now, so they don't serve it outside.
Okay, now, I want you guys to take a moment and we'll kind of go around. Did this open up your head and change your opinion of Russia? And are you a different kind of traveler now? We'll start with you, Lil.
Yeah, I definitely, like, ever since I was little, for some reason, I've just been, I guess, it's been put into my head to be a little bit nervous about Russians in general, just because there's been such tension in the Cold War and everything like that. And I totally got the feeling that when you really got to talk to the people, they were really nice people, and they were really, really interested in what we were like, and I exchanged a lot of names and made some friends, and I really was not scared about going at all, and I'm really happy I went, so.
Mark, how about you? Thanks.
Well, that's the first time I ever left the country, really. Well, I went to Canada, but I never went on the plane. So I guess I learned to appreciate what other people, but I also learned to appreciate what I have at home. And it also, made me see America's, pretty much the best, I think.
You're definitely a different kind of traveler now. You are a traveler now.
Yeah, I'm traveling now. It's different.
An ethnocentric trip.
And how about you, Cindy?
Go U.S.
I was expecting it to be all barbed wire and people with their faces down, not smiling, walking through the streets, and it wasn't like that at all. People smiled. The Russians were so nice to us. They were actually nicer to us than you would expect. At home you wouldn't imagine people walking up to the streets to you saying, hello and everything, and there they did. So, it totally changed my vision of the whole thing, and I like to travel now more anyway.
Great. Jess?
Yeah, I didn't even really know exactly what to expect. Like, I'd seen pictures of, like, St. Basil's Cathedral, things like that, but, it was really beautiful, and it was just amazing. Yeah, I'm totally opened up now. I have a different philosophy on life now.
And would you go back?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'd love to go
Spiritually reconstruct.
Yeah.
Spiritually. And Alex?
I have to agree with Cindy. But I thought when I got there, I see everyone, just really drab, and everyone just sort of looking down. You always hear Russians, no one ever smiles, and everyone's really, but people we talked to were just so friendly. Everyone was just so nice, and it's wonderful. I'd definitely go back.
Yeah, and I just thought basically the same as everyone's saying. I thought of it as this really bleak country, and where everything's very negative and no one's happy, and I got everything distorted on the news where there's no food, and I was really surprised, and I think it's like a wonderful place, and it was definitely a great experience.
I agreed with what everybody was saying, but I also found that one side of my family, one side of my grandparents are Russian, and I'd always sort of thought that I'd feel some sense of connection with Russia, and that I didn't feel connected to it. I guess I think I realized really that like Russian Jews and Russians in general are really different, and it's like the Jews in Russia are really like a separate component of Russian society. So that was.
Did you find any evidence of anti-Semitism, or did you have a feeling of such a?
I don't know if I found any evidence. I think talking to people and like asking questions and learning about stuff showed me about the separation, but I don't know if I felt.
I think one person on the trip was harassed, though, by traitors.
Really?
For being
Yeah,
Jewish.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
For being Jewish, he was, like, I think physically kicked, maybe lightly, from behind.
Yeah.
Oh, really? No.
And you saw that?
I didn't see it with my eyes, but I was right there. He told me about it.
With your eyes closed.
Okay, so there was a feeling. I mean,
I
being
didn't.
Jewish there is like being very different.
Yeah, I met some guy who
Suppose.
was saying he hated Mormons.
Okay.
We met
but
some people who
that's
damned us to hell, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Preachers.
They were American.
Fundamentalists.
Yeah, they were American.
We're all going to hell.
Well,
Evangelists in the hotel.
okay.
I thought one thing was that, what everyone's saying, I thought that it seemed like the older generations were, it seemed really hard, really, like, bleak, as everyone's saying, with their heads down. I thought that I still saw that, and when I was riding the metro, or when I just saw, like, older people walking around. But I found that, like, most teenagers and people in their 20s were really friendly and really open to me. So.
Would you guys encourage the juniors now to go with Don next year if he was so kind to take them?
Definitely.
If they're lucky enough to get into this. And do you think it's good to have the class as well as?
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely.
You wouldn't know. But those of you who do feel like it would.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, it's a really great course. Really.
a good combination.
Don and George.
And Don, do you get tired of taking these kids back year after year? Every year you're not going to do it again?
No, I'm not tired because I try to do some different things. Remember, Moscow and St. Petersburg
Oh, those are
are
the
very
current
big cities.
Bella.
And there are certain new things that I've added to the trip and deleted other things each year. So one, I'm not tired of it. Two, each year brings different kids and different excitement and different frustrations. So that's also exciting. So no, the answer is no. I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm going to continue as long as I can teach them American.
All right.
God.
Does anybody have any thoughts about something that, I mean, you guys brought back souvenirs, you brought back, see, I'm wearing my Russian shawl here. You brought back different things that you liked. And does anybody have any parting kind of things that is there something we didn't touch on that you think we should have talked about that's kind of bothering you? What you thought?
No pepperoni at the Pizza Hut.
The Pizza Hut.
There was
That
pepperoni.
was pepperoni.
Yeah, it's really expensive there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really
I'm sorry.
good pizza.
It was expensive. I was pissed.
And nobody
Angry.
mentioned
On the air.
Helsinki. I thought you guys.
Helsinki.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
a
really
great
fun.
time. in
Helsinki is
Helsinki.
very expensive.
Need a lot of money.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
all cobblestone though. It's so beautiful. Everything's cobblestone.
Okay, now wait, that's very interesting. How come you didn't say the women were beautiful in Russia?
Well, that's, we don't know.
So you would miss something.
Oh,
Nastya was okay. Good pictures of her.
Nastya was in Russia or Nastya?
Yeah, Nastya was in Russia. I think she immigrated from Helsinki.
So you're saying that the women were more attractive in Helsinki?
We're more attractive in
I'll say
Helsinki
it.
than anywhere.
And ladies, how were the men in Russia?
Smelly.
They were nice.
They were nice.
They weren't good looking,
They
wasn't?
weren't, I mean, it's not like, yeah.
No.
Well, there was such good company among the Americans.
But I understand Helsinki was the land of the $8 hamburger?
Yeah, it was so expensive.
$12 for a Big Mac and fries at Helsinki.
Yeah, Big Mac.
Well, they should go over to
No,
Moscow.
like McDonald's is the most expensive place there, though, I think.
No.
Or
No.
it's generally relatively expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, but
it's
yeah,
like-
but like, even
yeah,
like a movie was like
expensive.
$10.
Yeah, I guess.
Most
I
expensive
guess-
thing in Russia is bottled water. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Bottled water is $5.
because it was in our hotel.
Yes.
It was in a hotel, though.
In St. Petersburg, at the hotel store, it was
At
$1.
Moscow.
No, in Moscow, the
And
big
you didn't
bottles
mention that.
were fine.
You talked about the fact that you had a hard time, you were very parched when you came back. Why?
Yeah.
What were you,
Yeah, you
what was
couldn't
the,
drink water.
There just wasn't any water.
In St.
you couldn't drink the
Petersburg.
water
Unless
No
you
liquid.
bought the water.
unless you bought the water, and
Which means-
the bottled water was very expensive.
Nah, I think it was that expensive. I thought it was like $2.
It was $2.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the hotel had a monopoly over it. I mean, there was no other.
They should
Yeah, it
go.
was.
Yeah, they did.
I
Controlled
mean, if we
environment.
wanted a soda, we had to pay what they wanted, soda. And like every meal they'd give us like, the restaurant would give us like 4 Pepsis and that'd be like.
To share,
wrapped
like
in
8
Pepsi.
people.
Share it. We got like a shot glass.
Was the soda the same?
We shared it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Pepsi.
And Fanta.
Well, there was fun.
Fanta.
Fine.
And
And in fact,
orange juice, though.
when you were eating things, you were always eating in the hotel. When you were on the street, you couldn't just stop and buy a treat, correct?
I saw one, there was one like little concession stand. I don't know what it was. There was
There were a lot of concessions.
Looked
too.
like-
It's like a photo man.
No, it was ice cream, I think.
Yeah, no, but they
Lots
had,
of ice
This
cream.
old lady who didn't understand a word we were saying, and she just started yelling at me. She was yelling, and Thomas was just laughing. She was going nuts on
You
me.
couldn't just point?
And I pointed, and I gave her like 10 rubles. Everyone else was giving her like 15 kopecks, which is like, a 15th of a ruble,
penny.
1500th of a ruble. So I gave her 10 because I didn't know how much it was. I was hoping she'd give me change. And she was yelling at me, going crazy. Then she gave us 2 and kept my money. It was 10 cents, but she was going nuts. I don't know why. I still have no idea what she was saying.
Now, we talked about the Hermitage. We didn't really talk about it. I mean, you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Compare it to our museum.
Well, I mean, it was just.
It's much more impressive.
The lighting.
They have every artist. It's just incredible there.
It's
It's the most incredible museum I've ever been in.
Every year.
Why incredible?
I mean, it's like a Western museum, pretty much, but I mean, they have everything from Da Vinci, Michelangelo,
Rembrandt.
Picasso, Monet. I mean,
Is it well lit? Is it show
The light-
it's beautiful. It's a palace.
All
It's a
they
winter
had,
palace.
in each room, all they
Beautiful.
had was one little woman sitting in the corner. I mean, if you go to the, if you just, that was her room. If you go anywhere around here, people would jump at you if you came
Yeah, there was
close to the,
a Michelangelo just sitting on a table. Like it,
yeah, you could reach out and touch it. He did.
Just he was sitting.
What you're basically saying is that they guarded linen better than they guarded the Hermitage.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, much, yeah.
They don't mess with lead.
I know. Cards on Leonard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Lenin's area, we didn't take it that as seriously.
Yeah, you have to take off your hat.
I was really surprised by the lighting in the Hermitage, because there are these Rembrandts, and you can't even see them. I couldn't see the
Because they're
face.
so dark.
There's a lot of
There's a lighting.
glare.
There's one central light in the middle. You go to the Met.
The
there are all
windows
these
on.
spotlights and everything. And the glares were terrible. Like you have
Yeah,
to
the
look
glare
at
was a
that
little
to
hard.
bid.
Only the Da Vinci's had glass. Wasn't that what was in the
No,
book?
no, but a lot of them had glossy paint.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's glasses in the other ones.
Did you ever get to a department store? Was there a
It was
department?
closed.
There's one in St. Petersburg.
It was closed? Closed?
The one that
Remember the one in Red Square?
Goom.
There was like a Benetton and like an Estee Lauder opening up in Red Square, which,
Yeah.
Coming. Not
No,
there?
it was open.
Well, they're there in the city, but the Goom department store is now allowing concessionaires to take over various of the stalls there. And Benetton, and Estee Lauder, and others are moving from other locations in Moscow to Goom.
So,
But basically, this trip, I always discourage shopping because it takes time away from other things of more educational interest.
and you went to the circus or you went to the ballet or what'd you do?
Oh, that was incredible.
It's so good.
It was so sad.
Great.
Most impressive
Why was it sad?
Because in the end, right, the guy, this beautiful lady he's been following, she dies, okay?
No, that
the
was
girl
his
he-
fantasy girl.
Yeah, the fantasy girl dies.
First his fiance died.
No, his fiance ran off with some other guy. The fantasy girl died, and then a witch kills him.
And then he
just closes,
died.
And the witch is going, ah!
Now I'd like to know, have you guys ever been to the ballet here?
I went to the Nutcracker when I was there.
Well, isn't that interesting? And did you, was the dancing just unbelievable? I mean, supposedly.
It was pretty amazing.
It was good.
Very impressive.
Some woman took my
And-
seat.
How much did the ballet cost?
$10.
Hey, that's considerable. Was it full?
Sure, it's
Yeah.
considerable? No, that was considered, if you were to see the Kirov, if they come to the Met in New York,
Oh,
the cheapest ticket is $40.
But you're just telling me that the Russians make 900 rubles.
Well,
There
we're
weren't a
not
lot of
saying that there are
Russians.
Russians there. This is a hard currency outfit in a sense.
You should have
It's
seen our
basically for
seats.
There were
foreigners.
Russians.
Uh-huh.
They were mostly
You should have
Russians.
seen our
No,
seats.
no,
We were
no.
sitting on the corner little box. We
Well,
were
maybe
looking
there were
right
Russians
down.
there, but the ticket price for Russians would be considerably less.
Oh,
Yeah, we went to a jazz club. I met some,
Oh.
I met a couple Russians outside there, and I was talking to them, and they said that, yeah, they couldn't get into the jazz club. It was too expensive. So
It was 25 cents.
so is jazz the
was
in
25
thing, or
cents.
did they have rap? Did they have
No, it was
discos? Did they-
Dixieland music.
No, this wasn't the in thing. This was like
Avant-garde,
crazy.
like.
Oh wait, I shouldn't be doing that.
It was like crazy, avant-garde?
No, it was Dixieland Jazz. We were like dancing in the
Oh,
in the
they-
It was
aisles.
basically for Russians.
We were
We also went to
popping.
something that was really interesting. We went to one of their open markets where they sell food, and when we walked in, like they have all these different kinds of cheeses, and like they like all want you to taste them and stuff, and like they have fresh honey and stuff. So we kind of
Real honey.
The honey is terrific. Could the Russians buy at that market?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh, it was a
was
Russian
cheap.
market.
That was
Yeah.
expensive, and we had to pay with, didn't we? Yeah, we paid with the
Gave
Russian
out
money for
Russian
that.
Right.
No, not the market.
There is,
was
I think we
$1.
did.
there is a
For that-
They took
misconception
dollars.
of food shortages.
Yeah, I would've
There are no
talked about
food shortages. The problem is that the state-subsidized stores the prices have risen dramatically, and people clean them out very quickly because prices are fairly reasonable. The private markets, which we visited, it's saturated with food, but the prices are way too high for the average Russian. But there is plenty of food if you have money. Therefore, those that are making money through joint ventures and who are former communists and so on, they're living
mafia.
very nicely there. And there are some ration things, vodka, sugar, and so on and so forth. But basically speaking, there's no real starvation.
So if you were a hungry Russian, you could just go to the market and taste lots of cheese.
I don't know if
I don't know.
Oh, they only do that to
They knew we had
No,
money.
you can all taste, but they're
were
all
really
basically
nice.
selling farmer cheese.
Oh,
It's the
It's
same.
the same thing, but
really
10
more
different sellers.
okay.
Lily and I bought one, it melted.
Yeah.
It dissolved
Put it all
in Dave's room.
I'll bet it smelled great.
It was good while it was frozen.
All right, well, I just want to kind of do a wrap-up and give you one more second to think for, and we'll start on this side. Any last thoughts, Don?
Hey, I hope I do it again in '93.
All right. David?
It was a great trip, good experience. I think everyone should go if they can.
Yeah, ditto.
Wonderful experience.
It's great.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Excellent.
Go?
I
Go.
definitely
Go.
hope I have an opportunity to go again.
I'd wait a few years, though.
Would you go at the same season? Would you like to see it in summer, for
Yeah, I like to
example?
go to
Yeah, I like to go in
Ukraine.
summer.
I want to go to
No,
Kiev.
it's supposed to get really hot.
Ukraine is really.
I want to see Chernobyl in the summer.
Smell in the summer.
All right, so you'd wait. How about you, Lil?
I don't know, I think it was a great year to
I
go.
mean, I think I'll have to
You know, we
wait.
saw
Yeah,
Not
different
like
things that-
not choice.
frequent
It's
flyer
interesting
numbers.
because Yeltsin has been, Don said they didn't have Yeltsin
Obviously not.
on the doll, obviously. And now, who's missing?
Khrushchev is missing now.
Khrushchev, there were only 5, and so Khrushchev is now out of it.
Well, I have one with 6.
Well, I mean, this is only a,
Khrushchev with Yeltsin. I think that's the bonus.
Yeah,
It's got like marks on it.
Khrushchev and Yeltsin.
it's like a stupid little tool.
Uh-huh.
7 of them.
They could be all different ones.
Yeah, I don't think it's symbolic, it's just like-
You can see them with the
Yeah,
beetles.
Whichever face they could
I got the
paint better,
Beatles.
they probably do.
And Roger, as a parent, do you have anything to say? How nervous were you?
I wasn't any more nervous except the day they were coming home, I read there was a near riot.
Oh, we missed it.
downtown.
No, we missed it. We were in Petersburg, it was in Moscow.
I was so
We
upset.
were in Helsinki, actually.
Oh, we were?
Well, but I didn't have the itinerary right in front of me.
And it wasn't great when you were in the New York Times. I saw that same riot. I think that when they got off that plane, there was a great sigh of relief. I did.
Really? That's so nice.
And Mark got balloons, his mom was...
I have it all on tape.
Yeah?
Recorded.
I want to thank you guys for coming today, because I think you really gave us a real good look at what it was like, and that we probably should be a little more hang loose in terms of being parents, and it was really to your benefit. You really hung in there. We yelled at you in that meeting, and
I never fretted.
no, you never said it. And I hope you do continue to do it.
Thank you.
I think it's
hope I
marvelous.
can.
And I hope that these guys take back some groups possibly in the future.
Well, maybe they'll take an interest in it when they take courses in college.
That's right. It could be the opening up of a whole new kind of thing. And I know a lot of you are writing senior papers, right?
All of them.
On,
No, not me.
I don't know about this topic, but.
have you chosen this topic? Yeah? Some of you chosen
I
this?
haven't.
Anybody here?
Chosen a Russian
A
topic.
Russian topic?
Yeah, I do.
Stanislavski.
I think they have to.
Method actor.
What are you doing, Mark?
Stanislavski is a Russian director.
Okay. What are you doing, Jeff?
I'm not in Russian.
What about you, Lo?
If they're going to be able to create a free market, they'll survive.
Is that survive?
I'm just talking about like the gulag and the Soviet penal system.
Pretty neat to have been there and talking about it, right?
Right?
Did you ever see any KGB?
It's a real
Nobody talked
upper,
about
upper
it.
topic.
Oh, a lot of people we met. A lot of
We
people
went by the
met.
KGB building.
Yeah.
KGB
The
building?
students who were talking to me said they really wouldn't talk. They were scared of it still. Some of the students
We went by the
wouldn't
building where
talk.
they used to kill people in the basement.
Yeah.
Things like that.
You just went by quickly, right? Anyway, I want to thank you guys again for coming, and I hope you enjoyed it. And you can watch it on 36, and tell your friends, and maybe
When?
we'll let you know that, I promise. There's a whole very organized schedule, and you can call in for Request TV too. 698-6808, you can see it.
Oh, getting that collected.
Yeah, right. Anyway, thank you again, and we want to end from Russia with love, and hope that you all enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed having them here to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you.